Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So welcome to Ukiyoto. Today we will be talking with Daniel Ceeline Ramonal, if that I'm pronouncing it correct. And we
Yes,
will be
Ramonal.
talking
Yes.
about, yeah, great. So, we'll be talking about her new book, Let Me Learn from a Tree. So
Mhm.
before we start, let's just start with knowing that how long have you been writing?
When it comes to writing in general, I've actually been writing for a long time, but professionally because I've been writing for magazines, newspapers, and organizations. But for the kind of writing that I'm doing now, this is fairly new because I could say I started getting my work published in 2020. So, but the writing itself has been ongoing since I was in school. So, yeah, in terms of writing, I've been writing a long time, but publications just recently.
Okay, so what was your writing inspiration? I mean, how did you start writing, and what made you think that you can publish a book in 2020 after so long?
Yes. Well, I actually have so many inspirations. So it can be people I know, or it can be events that I've seen or maybe experienced. So, or maybe even strangers that I'm just observing or watching. They can be my inspiration also. Like, for example, when I wrote my first book, which was a children's book, it's called Harriet Pat and Her Hat. My inspiration was the overseas Filipino workers. So that book was inspired by them. So it can be anything when it comes to inspiration. And I started writing, I started really pushing for publishing my work in 2020 because I had so much time in my on my hands like everyone else, you
Everybody,
know.
yes.
Yes. And of course the pandemic has taught me, that you know stop prolonging things, stop delaying things, and just get it done, get it over with, get it out there and see how it goes. And so I've been trying to work on many things for so many years, but I've just kept on putting them off because I was doing something else. I had so many excuses, but then pandemic happened. So okay, I got to work on this now, I have time.
I think yes, in pandemic we have learned a lot of things while we were,
Yes.
isolated in our home. So
Yes.
you wrote about learning from a tree. So the name of your book is Let Me Learn from a Tree. So what was your inspiration behind writing this book? Did a tree inspire you?
Yes, yes, actually. It's always,
Great.
yeah, the trees. It's amazing. All these everyday things that we see around us. We always get
Yes.
something, messages that we learn from these and the experiences we have around them. So Let Me Learn from a Tree was actually originally a blog article because I used to have a blog, but now it's gone. I deleted that
Oh,
blog some
you
time
shouldn't
ago.
have.
Yes, I was told by my friends also, but I thought that I sort of some of the things that I wrote there no longer resonated what or who I am now. So, but I kept all my articles. So it started from there, and I realized that I wrote so many about trees. I am apparently learning so many things just by watching trees, observing them, as seasons change. And I have this, my brain works in such a way that ever since I was a kid, when I see something, this one has sort of like a mirror on a mirror experience or a mirror something. So there's like some sort of parallel there. And that's where my thoughts were actually created from for this book. So yeah. So my inspiration for this book, trees.
All right. So, how did you come up with the title and the theme of the book? I mean, writing about tree and the theme of the book. So, how did you come up with that?
Oh, because when I wrote that, I remember the incident specifically because I was in Thailand at that time, and I was going through some challenging situations. So I was in a park and I was just sitting on the bench and watching the trees. And it was that time in Bangkok when these trees were really beautiful. And I was just for an hour, I was just sitting there watching the trees. And then from there on, I saw how the blooms were, carried away by the wind. And at that time, for me, I felt like that whole thing was talking to me and telling me that, oh, you should let go of things now. So that kind of messages, it just comes to you while that event is happening. So when I went home, I decided to write the article about what my reflections were just sitting there on that bench observing the trees in that park. So those common things that are happening around us, and we get so many, we don't need like a therapist. Apparently we
Yes.
can learn so much.
I think trees are very it feels very pleasant to look at trees and nature and all the greenery. I think I personally feel a lot of I feel so pleasant looking at them, because in city you hardly find any trees, and you hardly find any good place of green where there is greenery. So it just moves me when I see greenery, and I would just keep staring at it, even if it's not
Yes.
moving or anything. It's just a still
Yes.
picture. So,
It's quite relaxing.
yes, it is. It is. It's actually a therapy. It's like a free therapy session because you can't afford one. So you just look at the
Yes.
trees.
Oh, that's so funny, because that's also one of the things that you will read there in the book about,
Oh,
the tree as a like acting as a therapist, because the therapist would just listen to you and let you talk. So it's almost the
yes.
same thing as that incident that
Yeah,
I was
and then
talking
at
about.
the end, the therapist will ask that, "What do you want to do?" And that's what the trees are going to ask me to do. So it's like cost saving, and also having a
True.
good time with yourself. So,
True.
yeah. So how what kind of lessons can a man learn from a tree in his daily life? Uh, what
Mm.
kind of messages that you have, you want to convey that others can learn from a daily life, or what have you learned from a daily life? Can you give a few
Ah.
examples?
Okay, so there's so many lessons there that I've mentioned in the book. And the first thing that I really wanted to focus on was first the change, the lessons we learn about change, just by watching trees go through different phases every season. They look different every season, right? And
Yes.
and also another lesson, I was just posting an excerpt of the book in my page actually about overcoming challenges and fighting back on it, because unlike us, trees don't make excuses. They don't have a choice.
Absolutely.
They
I second that.
yeah, so immobility is their biggest disadvantage. So they can't do anything, right? They can't fly, crawl, run away from the situation, but what they can do is evolve in order to survive. So that's a very good message to actually think about when it comes to us, because we also have what ecologists refer to as external stressors. Like we have poverty, we have debts, we have discrimination, we have, let's say, betrayal, all those kinds of stressors, all those challenges that we go through. It's almost the same. Those are like representations of the external stressors of trees. So we learn a lot from that, just knowing about that situation. How do trees fight back? And if they can do it, we can also, right? We should too.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, so that's another. And another is about diversity. You see,
Okay.
so the point there is, the fact that there are more than 70,000 species of trees. It goes to show, like, it goes to show that every person is supposed to be unique, and yet we label ourselves. We have this general categories of people. So yeah, so those are some of the lessons that I was sharing in the book.
Okay, so there are a lot of other things in the nature as well, apart from trees. So, what made you
Mhm.
write about trees and the lessons we can learn from them? Why did you not pick up, other things like beaches, or it's anyways, beaches are also serene. So, why did you not pick up other things? Why just trees?
Because um because I actually wrote a lot about trees. So because I wrote so much about them, I thought that, hey, it would be great to actually put all of them together into one book, because I've always loved reading, short, insightful reads, like short stories. And I thought that it would be a great idea. Well, I thought it would be a great idea also to do the same thing, and maybe people would appreciate it as much as I do when it comes to reading about short stories, and then about insightful messages attached to them. And
Yes.
for me, it turns out that trees really are quite influential in my life. Like I don't know. I just discovered that when I was compiling everything, and I said, oh, I actually write a lot about trees. So yeah, maybe because I'm a tree hugger. I don't know.
Think you are right about the fact that people do enjoy short stories, because I'll tell you something. Recently, I'm reading this book by Robin Sharma, Who Will Cry When You Die, and it has such small stories. It has such small chapters, like 1 or 2 pages, and it's so addictive that you just keep on going. So there's no
Ah,
stopping
yeah.
you. So
Oh.
yes, the book also includes the words on racism, and
Mhm.
I just am wondering that how did you include or relate racism with the book based on trees and climate change and everything?
Oh, okay. So going back to diversity,
Okay.
like what I've mentioned, there's so many species of trees, and this is for me like proof enough that we are not supposed to be all the same. That's our proof. We're not the same. And as human beings, we share the same requirements, yes, essential requirements like food, air, water, shelter, etc. But beyond this, beyond the essential ones, we we are actually molded by our environment, and we don't grow up in the same environment. and
No.
and that makes each one of us unique. Even for siblings growing up in the same environment, they will not be the same. And
I agree.
yeah, and this is why for me it is wrong to single out our identities by way of labels. And this is where I really enter discrimination and racism, because when you label someone, that's when you generalize this person, and you judge that person based on the standards, the structure that you are molded in. Like, for example, I'm going to mention some labels which might be offensive for some people,
Yes,
but let's
please
get it
do.
out there. So you have
Yes.
the black, we have Negroes, we have even the word Muslim. For some people, when they
Yes.
say it, there's nothing wrong with the word, but the way people say it, as if it's a dirty word to say. And then there's yellow. Okay, there's faggot, there's abo, and then we have midgets, fat, or recently we have, because connected to the pandemic, which is virus carriers. I was put in that label because I have a very oriental feature. And they
Okay.
have this general idea that, okay, the ones who actually carry the virus, or Chinese
The
people.
Chinese
And
virus. Yes, the Chinese
yeah, so
virus.
so yeah, all these, that's where discrimination happens. So, and I put that in the book because I wanted to use the trees as a point of reference, that we are all unique. A mango tree is not different is different from an orange tree. You can't expect the same fruit from these trees. That kind of emphasis. So there are parallel ideas there.
So basically, you're saying that a bunch of orange trees together and a mango trees and bunch of mango trees together, and they can't say that, oh, mango trees. So that can't
So
be done.
it it can be like that. Or also, I also mentioned in the book that there might be some it might be possible that there's like a lot of that type of tree in the area, but you will also see other kinds of trees around, and it is a perfect replication of how people are, and how people, migration. It touches on migration already. Those kinds of ideas in my head. I introduced it there in the book.
Okay, so what kind of message did you want to convey in the book, and do you think you did a good job with it? What were the messages? I think there were n number of messages, so I'm going to say
Yes.
messages instead of message.
Uh, True, true. There are many messages, many lessons, but I think, but my goal really is for everyone to reflect on their own experiences while reading the book. Because, each person will have a different reaction to what I'm saying. So I would like the readers to reflect on these messages and which ones are applicable, what do they, is it even going to be useful for them or for someone else. When you reflect on the things that you read, that's when you actually learn the message and understand the message that is being relayed. So, and to learn from the parallel examples where the lessons are drawn from.
So,
And in terms of,
yes,
yeah,
tell me. Please
yeah,
go
yeah,
on.
I was saying if I conveyed it, your second question was, did I convey it
Do
correctly?
you
Is
think you
that,
did a good job with it?
ah, I like to think I did, but that's just my idea because people will always have, will perceive your work differently. I might think I did a good job, but others may not, and others might agree with me. So I don't really know, but I like honest writing. So I also know that sometimes, you have to rein it in when you're writing. As much as you want to, go overboard with your choice and tone of
Yes.
words, sometimes you have to draw it back because you don't want your objective to be defeated. So, yes, I think I did a good job in terms of relaying the message. And I hope that it gets through.
Yeah, I hope so too, because learning from trees, I think the so far that we have talked, I think I am really excited to read the book myself, because
Ah,
you know
yes.
I really
Oh, that
am
would be great.
excited to read the book. So, what how well do you think you have conveyed your emotions on the paper? I think you had a lot to write about trees, since
Mhm,
you're a tree
mhm.
lover, tree hugger, whatever you may call yourself. And how do you think you have conveyed your emotions? How well do you think?
Oh, it was quite tricky because I wanted to show, the empirical side of the trees, and at the same time I also wanted to be poetic. So because I'm that kind of reader who likes to read that kind of stuff, the poetry. So it was kind of tricky. So like what I said, it's a matter of a balance. You have to have a balance of your choices in terms of word and tone. And I mentioned a while back that sometimes I had to rein it in. Like, for example, when I was talking about, there's an excerpt about the bonsai, and the letter there, I wrote a letter. It was a little letter for people to read. And when I was writing that letter, I was angry. But I know that I could not use some of the words that I was probably entertaining in my head, but I had to relay that anger. So you have to be very careful with that. And yes, I was reining it in, I was controlling it, but I think I was able to convey the emotions that I really wanted to convey. So if you start reading the book, you will see that there are variations in the tone, in the way I'm talking. Sometimes it can be poetic, sometimes it's angry, sometimes it's very scientific, even when I want to focus on some parts of the trees. So yeah, so there's a play of that.
All right. So, this is my personal question to you. I have always been a big fan of picking out words or picking out quotes from books and, using it in my life. So, if I have to ask you that, what was your favorite quote in your book, Let Me Learn from a Tree? What would you say? Hope that's not a tough
Ooh,
question for you.
it's kind of tough in a way because it would be too lengthy, I
Okay.
guess. Because,
Just come up with
but
a random one, maybe.
you know what? Let me go ahead and share with you what I actually shared just a while back,
All right.
because I realized that many people are going through, challenges in their life. And I think this would be great. And some of my friends found it really helpful. So this is an excerpt from the book. So can I just read it?
Of course, please go ahead.
Okay. So it is mind blowing to learn how trees fight back. Their distinct disadvantage of immobility makes it clear that their options are limited. They cannot run, crawl, or fly. It is impossible to remove themselves from harm's way. They know they cannot control the things and creatures around them, but what they can do is evolve. Standing firmly rooted to the earth, many trees develop thick barks that protect the inside of their trunks, shielding their cores so the brazenness fire cannot kill them. They do not go unscathed, but the shield protects the hope for survival. Some trees rely on fire-induced sprouts and different types of seed assistance for the preservation of their species, so they do not die out. Before winter, they prepare for dormancy by slowing down their metabolism and producing proteins that prevent ice damage. So even when they are reduced to desperation by harmful tree pruning practices that we human beings are so obsessed with, they defend themselves by rapidly regenerating multiple shoots just so they will not starve.
Oh my God.
So so it's amazing, right? The method, the technique that we don't really pay attention to. But then this is the technique that trees use in order to survive because they don't have a choice. Like us, we make a lot of excuses.
That's our choice.
Yes, but the trees, they have no, they have to evolve if they want to survive. And so they come up with different kinds of defense mechanism. And we can do the same thing also, evolving, adapting to the situation. And yeah, that's in the book also.
All right. I think, thank you so much for reading it. I mean, it just got me more excited to read the book and finish the book I'm reading and get to your book.
Now, oh yes, and please tell me. I'll be. I would look forward to your feedback.
Yes, I'll mail you, of course. Yes. And, what kind of responses have you received so far? You said one of the friend was very, you helped a friend read, you read that, and a friend was helped. So, what kind of responses you have received so far?
Yeah, so far people seem curious about the book and have been asking questions about where to get copies. So this is good. This is a good sign.
This is the website.
Yeah. But I have yet to receive actual feedback or comments, some about the content itself. So I'm looking forward to that though, as this one is different from the other books that I've had, which were children's books and research papers. So they're very different.
Okay, so I really think that you're going to get good responses, and all the very best for that.
Hope so.
Yeah. And are you working on anything else at the moment?
At the moment, I'm working on my third children's book and finalizing one research paper. And then there's the novel, which I've been working on for 15 years, actually more than 15 years. I'm actually struggling to finish it, but let's see.
So you have been writing for a long time. It's just took you the pandemic to release a book.
Yes.
Well, I'm looking forward for the novel. And so what advice do you have for the other writers?
I think my only advice is to write the story that you want to read. Because I seem to be hearing a lot about some writers falling into this, trend that, this is the trend theme now. This is what's in, this is what people want to read. But I think it's important that the writer should ask himself or herself, what do you want to read? So what do you're the one who's writing it, and you should write for yourself. And for me, my mantra has always been to write for my 8-year-old self, my children's books. Some people made a comment about, these are like books for adults, actually, only pretending to be children's books. And I said, exactly, because they're supposed to be read together. It's supposed to be insightful, not just for kids, but also for adults, so they can learn alongside reading with their children. So I always do that. My goal is always, okay, what does my 8-year-old self want to read? So I know that my 8-year-old self wants to read more about trees. I know that she likes, because, trees have there's a part in the book where you would have like hints of how my childhood was like. So you would see the influence of trees in my life. So yeah. So hopefully it will resonate also the same thing to other readers.
I think it's very important for children to understand the beauty of nature and the importance of nature, because we are wasting and we are damaging our nature very, very much. And
Yes, true. Waste culture. My goodness. Yes, that's also one of the things mentioned there.
yes, absolutely. And also the one that you have said about racism and cultural discrepancies and everything that is the cultural differences, the racism, the religion, the caste and creed, everything that is very important thing that our children should learn. Our next generation should learn that these things are just in your head, or just the society teaches you. It's nothing
Yes,
real.
it's
It's not
addicting.
real.
Mm.
It's something
Yeah,
which is very toxic. It
yes,
damages you. So,
true.
so thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for
Yes.
giving us your time. And you guys can find her book in our website. The link will be down below. And please follow Danielle's more books, and we will be very excited to have you and get your book published for your next published book, maybe the novel that you're going to write, or the next children's book.
Hopefully.
So,
Hopefully, yes, that
so the
novel.
15 years of success we are going to celebrate.
Yes.
So
But
it was
thank you for
very.
having me also, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Thank you so much for talking with me. I had such a great time talking to you, and
Me too.
we'll see you soon. And I'll mail you after I finish the book.
Yes, that I'm gonna be looking forward to that.
Thank you. I will be reading the book very soon. As soon as possible, I'll do so.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you again for this opportunity to talk about the book. Let me learn from a tree.
Yes. Thank you so much, Daniel. Have a good day, and we're signing off. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.